That was John Landis there talking about the scariest part of the movie. John Landis, of course, responsible for the deaths of 3 actors in the filming of the Twilight Zone film. But he talks about the scariest part there at the very end where this girl falls asleep. That's the one fundamental flaw of the film throughout Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The story is that the pod gets placed near you, and when you fall asleep, it emerges and gets rid of you. However, at the end of the movie, all she has to do is kind of nod off to sleep for a second, and she's turned into a pod person. Fail. Our other media meme note, while we anxiously await what I'm sure hopefully would be coming from VigilantCitizen.com is the breakdown on the latest occult ritual known as the Video Music Awards, the VMAs. But while we wait from that, there's an article just from thehoya.com college newspaper. Once groundbreaking MTV hits new lows at VMAs. Surprise, surprise. On to the murder and mayhem. And it's interesting to preface what we're going to go over with this story from CNSnews.com. Violent crime declined as gun sales climbed in 2009. This coming from the FBI. Quote, proof positive that gun prohibitionists have been consistently and undeniably wrong, end quote, from the Citizen Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, saying in a statement. But having said that, let's get to all the strange murder and mayhem, the mass murder contagion that we've discussed so many times here that seems to come in waves, in clusters, copycat effect, if you will. With another update on the dead MI6 spy known as Gareth Williams, who of course had been in the States, connected to the NSA and other intelligence networks. We reported several weeks ago he was found dead in essentially a duffel bag, or whatever they call that, across the pond. And it gets more ridiculous as the weeks go by. Dead MI6 worker Gareth Williams, quote, may have climbed into the bag by himself, trying to spin it as a sex game gone wrong, much like they always do when shady things happen to folks, such as Michael Hutchins of NXS or David Carradine. You think that's ridiculous? How about this from the Los Angeles Times? Bag on his head, limbs bound, dead in an LAX restroom. LAPD calls it suicide. And the other shooting spree, mass murder contagion outbreaks, relatives say that a spat began the Kentucky rampage that killed 6 last week. And then yesterday, it was a man in Johns Hopkins in Massachusetts bursting in, shooting the doctor, and then killing himself. It came out later he shot a doctor, killed his own mother in the hospital, and then killed himself. And then this morning, again, as we always see the clusters, and this is the latest I have on this from the Washington Times, officers shoot gunman on Capitol Hill. That was breaking early this morning, September 17th. And I shouldn't be surprised, I guess I didn't give it too much thought, but we did report it a couple of times here last week with our recurring Vancouver meme. Not only British Columbia, but also Vancouver, Washington, which is where the acid attack happened. We reported that to you where a woman had acid thrown in her face by what was allegedly a young black girl threw acid in a Vancouver, Washington woman's face. Then there was another similar yet unrelated copycat event in Arizona. We reported to you last week, authorities investigating both cases. Now it comes out, and it's, again, tabloid from across the pond from the Daily Mail. Bethany Storrow was her name, Storro. It was a hoax. Acid attack victim confesses injuries were self-inflicted. That's a false flag attack, my friends. See, it doesn't have to be super complicated fog of war, military-industrial complex, black op kind of shit. False flag activities happen all the time. Like the girl painting the swastika on her door, because she was down with the ADL, and they're all about false flag, infiltration, provocateur events. Or the feds running Ku Klux Klan groups, on and on and on. Fake. Because for the most part, most people want to live in love and harmony and happiness. But our misleaders need chaos and mistrust and murder and mayhem so they can create the order out of the chaos that they want. Problem, reaction, solution. Generally, most of these hate groups are all totally marginalized. Yeah, they're probably growing because our fake economy is crashing and people need their little gangs, they think, to keep them safe. But once again, it's a hoax. It's a false flag attack. And it begs the question, what kind of person would throw acid in their own face? Now we get to the name we've mentioned so many times, Barry Soetoro. That's what's on the paperwork we've seen. Muslim from Indonesia. But he's our Christian president, Barack Obama. Surprise, surprise. Obama picks Skull and Bones Council on Foreign Relation crony Austin Goolsbee to head his new Council of Economic Advisors. This would be, of course, all helping bring in new global currencies for the private central banksters. Neolib Milton Friedman disciple Austin Goolsbee, yes, Goolsbee, Goolsbee, has been picked as chairman of Barack Obama's Council of Economic Advisors. Goolsbee, pure neolib, insider's insider, skull and bones, along with Poppy Bush, W. Bush, and John Kerry, but he didn't go to Chicago School of Economics, but he teaches there. Surprise, surprise. Different party comes in, yet it's the same foundation, connected, round table, think tank, elite, multi-generational, serial killer, mighty Wurlitzer fronts. And just so you know, we were on top of this from the very beginning as we watched the phony paradigm shift before our very eyes. Going back to June 2008 on MediaMonarchy.com, I asked the question, this is as good as it gets, in response to a posting on Wired about, wow, Obama-McCain, now this is a really good classic American presidential election. We pointed out there all the connections to Council on Foreign Relations, Brzezinski, Kissinger, Rockefeller, CIA. And we told you right there, Austin Goolsbee was already on his economic advisory, Skull and Bones. And now he picks him to further Council of Economic Advisors. Are you starting to get the picture? Harry Reid adds controversial immigration measure to defense bill. Now that's a way to get it passed, because no one can say no to a defense bill, because that brings the bloody pork barrel military toy manufacturing to our poor blown-out ghost towns. Which reminds me, sidebar, and perhaps coming soon, I had a good movie show idea, so more on that sometime later. But I was streaming the History Channel series that you may remember from a year or so ago. I'm sure we even reported about it here. It's probably in the archive somewhere. Life After People on the History Channel. It's now streaming on Netflix, and was checking it out, and it's pretty fascinating, aside from its sort of implicit meme of eugenics and humans are bad and we're all going to be gone. We all need to be taken care of. Oh, that's what it was. Hashima Island. Hashima, Hashima Island, this deserted island off the coast of Japan. It used to be a huge Mitsubishi factory. Now it's a ghost town. That was my sidebar. Back to Obama-Saya updates and all the phony left-right dog and pony show garbage. George Soros' front group exploits teenage celebrity to get out the vote for the war party. Doesn't really matter which party. It's all war party. That would be connected to Obama, former Clinton speechwriter David Halperin's campus project, hooking up with Justin Bieber, one of the ridiculous latest. I don't think he's from the Disney Industrial Complex, but he may as well be. It's all mind control pop garbage. But speaking of stupid teenagers, is the latest threat to the United States drunk British teenagers branding brandishing insults. This story went pretty viral. Basically, drunkenly, a kid in the UK sent an email to Barry Soetoro and called him a prick. He is never allowed in the North American Union. Banned for a lifetime for calling the dear leader a prick. Now, we have elections going on, again, with the fake Tea Party overlay, the completely infiltrated, misdirected group. It started out as a real grassroots thing, connected to libertarians, connected to the Ron Paul movement, Campaign for Liberty, that whole, kind of pro-freedom thing that doesn't really give a shit if you want to smoke something or who you love or any of those kind of ridiculous culture wars. Remember that thing? Yeah, totally redirected, misdirected, Palin, Glenn Beck, all the garbage. They're now winning elections. But when you look at it, they're not running as independents. They're not running as Tea Party people. They're just running GOP. It's a smokescreen, as it all is. But here it is again. And even in this case, we see from threat level, from blackboxvoting.org, voting machine errors highlight urgent need for a U.S. database. Because we had 3,221 phantom votes found in Tennessee, and wouldn't you know it, those very locations had last-minute software upgrades, uploads the day before the election. Tempest in a Tea Party, that's what 9and10news.com calls the victory of Christine O'Donnell, and I don't even know off the top of my head what state it's in, but this is reactionary in libertarians' clothing. This is all fake shell game garbage. But the clip that, of course, went viral and everybody loved is the old clip of this woman, Christine O'Donnell, with her insane anti-masturbation campaign that MTV ran back in the night, Real Sex, or Sex in the 90s, which I'm sure I watched back in middle school or something. No, I would have been in high school. It doesn't matter. These are all ridiculous distractions. Yes, these people running for positions, acting like they're some new alternative. It's subterfuge and obfuscation on top of itself. Because one, they want to act like, all the shit all just went wrong as soon as Obama got in. No, it's been going on for a long time. He just took the football and is now continuing to run with it. National emergency declarations and all. And the war, and the finances, all those things. It's continued. Only now they can see it because he doesn't have an R after his name. So you have these fake, phony Tea Party folks acting like they're some sort of alternative, even though it's all phony, funded garbage. Vote real, third party, if you're going to vote. So those are all our Obama-Messiah and the fake left-right paradigm party of war updates. Let's get a few police state updates. Documents show Department of Homeland Security tracks anti-drill groups in Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. You know, my friends, we track the military-industrial complex drills quite often on this show because, as we've seen time and time again, sometimes those drills just happen to go live, and the exact same thing that they were practicing suddenly goes real world. The odds are astronomical. But we're running out of time, and I don't have time to get into all of this, but essentially, Homeland Security connected to Pennsylvania, connected to Governor Rendell, spying on groups who even, are bastardly enough to be showing screenings of documentaries called Gasland. But my friends, what does this trace back to? Let's get it from my man Jeff Long of, RockCreekFreePress.com, but also Redacted News. This Pennsylvania government spying on protester group story, and again, you thought this only happened when Michael Moore exposed it, when it was peace groups under Bush. No, it still goes on. They can ratchet up the terror with a catalyzing catastrophic event to scare the hell out of you to give up and not say anything. But when the threats are ultimately, as they always are, exposed as being trumped up, phony, false flags, or aspirational threataganda, the ratcheted up controls never go away. We're still dumping our water, taking off our shoes like slaves in the airport, even though all those stories have been debunked. This connects back to something called the Institute of Terrorism Research and Response and their $125,000 contract with Homeland Security. Unfortunately, this sources back to an Israeli organization, Institute of Terrorism Research and Response, which, again, unfortunately, gives a lot of the folks